Hello and welcome. I am your host, TheSithC, and today I'm joined by my very good friend who's only been on the channel once so far, which I need to sort out immediately. It's Galactus the Hungry.
Oh, how everyone? How you doing?
I'm doing very well, and Galactus the Hungry is the expert when it comes to Marvel, when it comes to Marvel Comics, when it comes to the MCU. So it's only natural to talk some Marvel with you, and you came to me with a very interesting discussion video that I thought would be brilliant. So do you want to introduce us to what we're talking about today?
Yeah, so for everyone that's really watched WandaVision recently, I think a big thing on everyone's mind is who's more powerful, Wanda or Doctor Strange?
Absolutely, and just so everyone's aware, if you haven't watched WandaVision already, please go ahead and do that. We are going to be talking about stuff that happened in that show, so it's probably best for you to maybe click off now if you don't want any spoilers or anything, and go watch that show right now. I don't think Galactus the Hungry here could entice you enough with that show. I mean, you've produced some excellent content based on it, haven't you?
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, if you feeling a little bit puzzled after the show, then I've done quite a few breakdowns and theories and stuff like that on my channel if you want to have a look. Shameless self-promotion.
It's really quite cool as well, because I would go after watching the stuff, and yeah, I'm pretty good with some of the stuff, but then I really liked your sort of takes on different things. I think what I quite enjoyed was when you had a sort of different perspective. So, you sort of saw something in a different way rather than just like the evaluative stuff. When you sort of put your opinions across, I quite liked that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in WandaVision, it's a very puzzling show. You can take a lot of the things that happen and interpret them in different ways. But I was mostly going based off of the comics of House of M, which is the one it's based on, because I've read that. It's awesome.
Yeah, no more mutants.
Indeed.
Yes, yeah. That is one I need to pick up in the future for sure. So we're going to be discussing again, who's more powerful, Doctor Strange or Wanda, and the first thing that comes to mind to me is we had Agatha Harkness saying that the Scarlet Witch is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. And I've thought about this quite a lot, especially while thinking about what I'm going to talk about in this video. And Agatha obviously also thought that she would be able to beat Scarlet Witch. I mean, why would she sort of incite that conflict at all if she didn't think she would win? So it does go to show that she's not always right about what's going on with all these sorcerers. Like, what's your sort of take on that?
Well, I would say that Agatha really got a bit cocky, really, with the whole runes thing that we saw at the end of there. I think from a little bit from watching the whole thing and then seeing that she was talking about runes, I kind of thought that would be the way that she would end up being defeated. Although I think maybe saying that the Scarlet Witch is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme could be kind of like spurring them on to try and realize their true power, which is pretty high in the comics at least.
Oh, for sure. And also, I'm wondering, maybe she said that. Maybe not because maybe she could have been sort of saying it just to get Wanda to sort of tap into whatever, powers that she was using to create the reality that she had. Because of course, Agatha, she wants that for herself. So maybe it was more she was sort of trying to tease her into using her powers a bit more.
Yeah, the way Agatha's powers function in the MCU is quite different to in the comics. In the comics, she's kind of like not a mediocre witch. She's a very skilled witch, but she's never really displayed any sort of power to be able to go toe-to-toe with Wanda, which I think is pretty awesome. And it's pretty cool because the magic of the Scarlet Witch, or chaos magic, whatever you want to call it. It's an insanely powerful form of magic, and it's pretty cool that Agatha Harkness could actually manage to take some of that. And I think it'll be interesting to see what she could do if she ever faced up against someone like Doctor Strange.
Oh, for sure, and I think it's quite interesting, that they've left her in the MCU to sort of leave her there. There's always that door open.
She'll be coming back.
Yeah, 100%. They don't do that for nothing. But again, with Agatha was always just a side character for the Fantastic Four, wasn't she? And to make her the villain for this in a way was quite interesting. But then I also really liked how Wanda was very much the villain as well. And so again, if you're looking at her powers, she's come a long way. She's literally bent reality. She's we're pretty sure that she's created sort of offspring. This is really quite complex magic in the MCU.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, during House of M, the whole story of House of M was that Wanda's children, well, she did have children, or she kind of thought she had children, and then one of the Avengers, I think it was Janet Van Dyne or something, brought it up, or Hope Van Dyne, and then she kind of remembered it, and then went to see Agatha Harkness. Then Agatha Harkness told her all about it, and then she got very obsessed with the thought that she would have children, and then all the whole events unraveled, and then she went crazy, and then was manipulated by Magneto and Quicksilver, which I'm not going to ruin the whole story. The whole story is awesome, but Wanda's certainly getting a lot more powerful than we've seen ever in the MCU. She's arguably the most powerful character in the MCU right now.
What I really like, though, is she's certainly one of the most powerful in the MCU, but she's certainly one of the most vulnerable emotionally. She's got so much power, and yet you certainly don't feel like she's completely in control of it. And where Doctor Strange might be more powerful is that he's always studying, he's doing so much, he's always ahead, researching, learning, and I think that he's got a lot more discipline than Wanda in that sense. So I feel that Strange, he would certainly have a much better command of his power and magic than Wanda.
Certainly, I mean, the way that Wanda's powers and Doctor Strange's powers function is very different. So you got Wanda's powers, who are pretty natural; they came naturally, and then you have Doctor Strange, who
they're pretty innate.
Doctor Strange studied for all of this, and he understands it all, and he knows it all. Wanda still doesn't really understand the full totality of their power, which I think we'll probably see a bit more of in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. But also Doctor Strange knows a lot more about magic than Wanda. Doctor Strange knows of the consequences of what using more and more powerful magic can do. Like in the comics, it has like a wear and tear effect on your soul, and you become more corrupt the more powerful magic you use, whereas Wanda doesn't seem to know this. And at the end of WandaVision, you've got Wanda with an insanely dark and powerful book, which is a Darkhold, and she really doesn't understand the full totality of how powerful that book is. And
absolutely,
I think it will be really cool, because Wanda, where her powers, I said it comes naturally, but Doctor Strange, the way his powers work is that he takes power from other beings, or he borrows energy from other dimensions or so.
Certainly in the comics, I mean, we can assume that for the MCU, can't we? But that's certainly how it works in the comics.
And the Ancient One did say they came from other dimensions. In the comics, you can take stuff from relics. Like if you have, for example, in World War Hulk, Doctor Strange had the soul of the demon Zom, and then he drank that, and then gained a lot of his powers in order to fight the Hulk.
And also, did we see Wanda in, was it like her astral self? Is that the term?
Oh yeah, it did remind me a little bit of the astral form, although it didn't look like one very much. The astral forms of someone like the Ancient One or Doctor Strange looked quite transparent and quite a little bit blurry at times, but this seemed like almost the person that was walking around could have been the astral form, and then it could have actually been Wanda that was truly looking through the book. Although it's weird because we've never actually seen anyone be able to project their astral form while they're not unconscious or sleeping or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was crazy, and like you almost like you know, how can your mind work like that? You know, like how what sort of magic is she using to be able to multitask like that? You know.
Well, it's most likely the magic of Chthon. I've done a video explaining it. I don't want to go too far into it. It's quite complicated, but it's very, very powerful stuff.
Go check out that video.
Powerful stuff.
It's insane, absolutely insane. I mean, as well, like it's a shame because in Endgame, you had Doctor Strange for the most part having his time spent just stopping water from flooding the entire battlefield, and so we didn't get to see too much from him in that battle. But certainly in Infinity War, we saw he's really come quite far from where he was in his solo movie Doctor Strange.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, he's not making like little patterns with his hands anymore. He's using some awesome stuff. I mean, we saw him use so much cool stuff, like the Crimson Bands of Sitarak, who's like a demonic entity that he could take that from, and then he's loads of others. Like Thanos threw a black hole at him, and he was able to defend himself.
Pretty impressive. Like there's a reason. The thing is as well, there's a reason he's called the Sorcerer Supreme. Like he is the Sorcerer Supreme. He is the most powerful sorcerer. That's just how it is.
At least for now.
Certainly for now. And so I think there's got to be some validity to that, and also like his role is going to become so much more important in the MCU as well. Certainly with all the multiverse stuff that's going on, and he's going to have he's in a lot of MCU projects, isn't he? Because we're going to see more of him from What If. Granted, that is a different that's a different reality, but you still get a good idea of what powers he has available to him in that, and then he's going to be in Spider-Man, No Way Home, and then any future Avengers projects which he'll certainly be in. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where they can take Doctor Strange, especially with Sam Raimi directing. I'm sure that he'll want to use some pretty cool and unique magic tricks. I feel so like the wrong way to say it.
Yeah.
But, that sounds too simplistic, magic tricks.
Yeah.
But
I think it's really cool because in the comics, Doctor Strange is much more of a key character. He's vastly powerful in the comics compared to what he is in the MCU because of all the tools that the Sorcerer Supreme has at their disposal. I mean, if you take him during like Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, he becomes so powerful. He just goes around the multiverse killing universes. But that's besides the point. He can do so much more stuff in the comics because they really show him as more of a they show him as the Sorcerer Supreme rather than like a guy that can do magic. He's a guy that's in control of everything in the comics. He's got all these vast resources that he has. He has all these relics and books that he could draw power from. He's very capable of taking down almost any threat that comes at him.
And importantly, he had a lot of support as well. I mean, he was one of the leading members of the Illuminati.
Yes. Oh, I love the Illuminati. Awesome group. Especially in Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers. Best comic book series ever.
100%. Incredibly underrated, in my opinion. Certainly in the mainstream. I'd love to see an MCU, a sort of equivalent of the group. I think Iron Man was a member, wasn't he?
Yeah, the members were the ones that are really in the MCU currently. Oh well, there was Iron Man, obviously. There was Black Bolt, who's been in the. Was he in the Inhumans? series or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Iron Man, Black Bolt, Reed Richards, who we'll probably see soon. Other characters like Hank McCoy, Professor X, Yellow, Ant-Man, and obviously you've got characters in there like the Hulk, which is pretty interesting. He came a little bit later than others, and yeah, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, no, so if we could get some sort of version of that in the MCU, that'd be quite neat. I'd like that.
It would be awesome, but the Illuminati only really band together when things are in real dire peril, like during the incursions where you've got like the whole end of the multiverse in the comics, and I really don't know if they're going to ever do that in the MCU because of, it's a big event. You need to set things up properly because in the comics it took years and months to get that far, and like hundreds of issues of comics to build it all up gradually. But I don't know if they're going to ever do that in the MCU because you've got a lot of pivotal characters in this big story about the incursions that are nowhere near yet being introduced.
Well, speaking of Doctor Strange's powers, he's going to be absolutely critical in this next sort of stage with introducing the multiverse. And, I think, Kevin Feige, sure, he was the mastermind behind the Infinity Saga, and he's going to be thinking, so what's this one? What do you reckon? Is this one the multiverse saga?
I'm hoping that we do see a little bit more of the multiverse, a lot more cosmic threats that could be seen, for example, like Galactus, a bit of maybe Mephisto or
Galactus
Dormammu
would be
or
a
someone
great
like
threat.
That. I think that certainly the bar has been set pretty high for Thanos, as he's a wildly powerful character, although Marvel has got no shortage of incredibly powerful characters. I mean, if you look at my list of Marvel's top most powerful characters, Thanos is in like the 90s or 80s. There's a lot amount of characters more powerful than him, although some of them are very much not that cinematic.
Oh, for sure. It's going to be interesting though to see how Wanda plays into Doctor Strange, because we're going to get to see them working together, so it's going to be quite interesting actually. Of course, in this video we're comparing them, but it'd be quite nice to see how they work together with their magic as well, and maybe we'll see Doctor Strange taking on maybe a sort of mentor role with Wanda and like helping her to control her magic.
Certainly, Wanda could be such a powerful character if they had full control over their powers, which I think is a thing that Doctor Strange could probably teach them, although I'm not sure whether it could end up being like more of an Ancient One and Caecilius type thing where Doctor Strange is trying to teach him the right way to do things, but then perhaps Scarlet Witch gets distracted by wanting her children back or something like that, and then goes out down the wrong path.
Oh, for sure. The thing is as well is like I feel that we're supposed to root for Wanda in WandaVision, but she is very much the villain, just as well as Agatha.
You almost don't want her to win sometimes.
Yeah. No, exactly, because either way, it's a loss. Wanda was certainly the better of two evils in WandaVision.
She was by no
100%.
means in the right, though.
But she was no means in the right. What she did to those families and those people who she was in control of is awful.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely awful. And so it's maybe we're going to find Doctor Strange. We see him in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. This is just theorizing, but maybe we see him. Maybe he's looking for Wanda. Maybe he's trying to sort of
perhaps.
Take her in a bit.
Sorry.
Maybe he's going to take her in, and set out the rule book. If get out the rule book.
You break the rules. Oh. That'd be funny. But I reckon the path that it might follow is. Well, at the end we see Wanda looking in the Darkhold, and then you hear her kids' voices. I reckon that this is probably someone or something trying to manipulate her or something like that. Everyone on all these theory channels says Mephisto, but I really doubt it, because with Marvel you introduce the villain slowly. They wouldn't just go and introduce a new big bad to Marvel before doing this. The director, I think, of WandaVision didn't even know who Mephisto was until this all came out.
Oh yeah, no, that I saw that. That was quite shocking to me. I mean, you would hope that they'd know about that sort of stuff, but yeah, oh well.
I thought they'd have a general
But,
idea.
Yeah, but it could also be, with her experimenting with her magic, that I mean she's already sort of created alternate sort of realities. Maybe she's sort of tapping into that sort of same magic, and she's hearing a different reality that still sort of exists.
That's pretty interesting. That's an interesting theory.
That she's only sort of tapped into. I mean, just because the Westview the way that we experienced Westview in WandaVision doesn't exist anymore. It's not to say that, we can't access it anymore. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not still there in that reality. It's just the two on our reality and, I mean the main MCU reality and that reality.
Certainly.
Sort of linked.
Infinite
anymore.
realities, infinite possibilities. There could even be one where Wanda's got children for real in that alternate reality, possibly. Although I reckon it'll probably follow the way that Avengers Disassembled went, which I think was a pretty awesome event. It was the one that led up to House of M, where you had Scarlet Witch remembering things, and then in the end Doctor Strange had to come in and take her down. But she got way more powerful in House of M.
I mean, if she's able to basically stop all the mutants from existing, that's quite.
They don't exist.
That's
yet.
Power. I'm really looking forward to seeing whether we're going to have something of that.
She could even have the reverse effect, introduce mutants.
The future. Well, yeah, that's the thing as well. That will certainly be interesting. I think Doctor Strange, in the Multiverse of Madness, will have a lot of the answers that we're looking for, or maybe as well. Their powers could absolutely complement each other as well. I mean, you could have some things Doctor Strange is only able to do, and some things Wanda's only able to do. It takes the power of the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of people talking about what a Nexus being is and stuff like that. I'll explain it really, really quickly. It's just because Marvel's never really given us a big definition of what this is, and people are making a huge deal about it. But all it means is that you're someone that can access basically all forms of magic. So if you imagine everything in magic as a room full of doors, and Doctor Strange has got as a Sorcerer Supreme has a key to most of them, but there's some forms of magic that Doctor Strange completely can't get, or at least the Doctor Strange that we know. And Wanda Maximoff could most definitely unlock all of these because their power comes from Chthon, who's pretty much got one of the highest levels of magic that we've ever seen. There's probably still some forms of magic that she can't have, like the magic of Seasneg or Agamotto or something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, what I'm... The thing is, as well, I'd really love to see how they sort of represent her use of the same sort of spells as Doctor Strange, because I think it would look quite different, but also have that similar look.
Certainly.
I'm curious to if she was making one of those ring portals, would it sort of have a red sort of tinge? I think it would be quite cool to have that sort of different flair to it.
Maybe. I mean, come to think of it, we've never seen her transport anyone or teleport anything.
No. So I mean, again, one of the things that of course, these are movies we're talking about. You can't. They'd obviously be boring if they did stuff like this. But Doctor Strange, he could make a portal and chop someone's arm off. Chop someone's head off.
Just like Black Dwarf.
And close it. That's the sort of stuff that'd be. That's seriously powerful.
Certainly.
certainly overpowered.
That's what's kind of weird about
fight.
these characters, because you've got someone like Wanda who's got such a high amount of power. This is why I sometimes think that beings like Thor could be considered as more powerful than these guys, because if someone with like a gun or Hawkeye or something just shoots an arrow, like, they will die. They are effectively just humans. Doctor Strange, you could just get him when he doesn't even know, whereas a being like Thor is a little more powerful and couldn't be taken down by anything of that caliber, certainly.
Yeah, certainly. As you say, at the end of the day, they are just human. Absolutely. Unless like Doctor Strange would have some sort of like protective spell or something, which I doubt, because I mean, as we saw in Infinity War, he was bleeding.
You need time. You need time to make some of the spells as well.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, especially complex spells are going to take time, even for the Sorcerer Supreme.
Certainly. I just can't wait for Multiverse of Madness to see Doctor Strange really get to use some awesome powers that he has and the resources that are available to the Sorcerer Supreme. I just think it'll be awesome, because the thing is, if you take Doctor Strange from the comics with properly using all the stuff he's got at his disposal, he can be as powerful as M-Day level Scarlet Witch. But the thing is that it corrupts his soul from using like that high level of magic. But the thing is, Doctor Strange can do it. He can go to these incredibly high levels of power, but he's very much more disciplined than Wanda in that he considers the actions and the consequences and stuff like that.
I think what was really nice with the Doctor Strange movie as well is he was a very self-centered, arrogant. Maybe he's still got a bit of arrogance, but he's very hot-headed, bad temper, that sort of thing. And then he then with his journey throughout the next few films, you really do feel like he's got a great sense of responsibility and discipline now. Like he has that level of grandeur, and you feel like he's an expert. He is the Sorcerer Supreme, and he handles himself like one. Whereas before he was selfish. So it's quite interesting to see how. Maybe it's also not necessarily about how powerful you are, but how you choose to use your power that you do have.
Certainly. I mean, the whole thing about Doctor Strange that I really liked about the whole movie is that Doctor Strange, as a doctor, he was an incredibly skilled doctor, but he was also quite arrogant in the way that he did things. For example, when I think Christine or something called him, and then she was like giving him lists of people who he could help and try and save, and then she gave him one, and he said like, "Oh, and risk ruining my 100% track record, no chance." And then in the end, he ended up falling fate to that. Like, there were procedures that people could have done, but that they have eventually denied because they're like doctors of such high caliber and they don't want to ruin their records and stuff. I know it might not be like that in the real world, but I think it's quite interesting, because I think Doctor Strange was really humbled by that and kind of realised that whilst he was doing good, like saving lives on a one-to-one basis, there is, more good that he can do, and if he really tried to help everybody, then ultimately he may not have suffered the loss of the use of his hands in that way.
Absolutely, I agree. And comparing Doctor Strange to Wanda, it's Wanda. She is she's grieving. A lot more, and was certainly grieving, and probably is still mourning the loss of her whole family. Whether that is her brother Pietro. I mean, that was brought back up in WandaVision, and then Vision and her two children. She's lost it all. Like she's lost Cap. Steve Rogers, that sort of acted as a brotherly or like fatherly almost mentor figure. So she's lost him.
Certainly.
I think the only one that she would really have now is probably Hawkeye, and while he's busy doing his own thing with Kate Bishop at the minute.
Yeah,
so,
Hawkeye seems to be like a caretaker almost. You know, he went to like get her when he went to like get her to put her on Captain America's team in Civil War, and you know, you saw the scene where they're both kind of sad at the end of Avengers Endgame, and stuff like that, because Hawkeye obviously lost Black Widow.
Yeah, I do hope that sort of relationship is kept up, because she doesn't have anyone else, and so it's going to be interesting as well to see how Doctor Strange interacts with her. Like, because they barely know each other, but no, what I was trying to say is, at the minute, so a lot of the reason for her learning and gaining her power and harnessing it is going to be very selfish. It's going to be because she wants to have her family back, her 2 children, because she can hear them, so she's obviously going to try and seek them out, so that's it. So what I'm saying is, selfish intentions at the end of the day will probably not go as well as selfless intentions, and it's how you use your power, I think.
Yeah, you almost can't blame them after they've lost that much.
Oh, 100%.
It's pretty sad. So, anyways, at the end of the day, who do you think would ever win? Who do you think would win this fight if this fight ever happens?
I love both characters for sure. I think Wanda is easily one of my favourite characters in the MCU. Certainly one of the best developed. Maybe before WandaVision, I felt they kind of brushed over Quicksilver's death too much.
Certainly, it was like 20 seconds or something.
Probably have more. Yeah, it would have weight. I think it would have much more of an effect on her, and she'd bring it up in the other films. But oh well, they didn't do that. But hey, at least WandaVision, they sort of addressed it. But yeah, overall, I love both characters. Doctor Strange is perfectly cast with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, actually, really interesting fact. Sorry, really in the comics, Doctor Strange looks out into alternate realities, and he sees that Doctor Strange in the comics knows he's being played by Benedict Cumberbatch in the MCU.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, no, but I think I'm gonna have to give it to Doctor Strange, because with what I've said, I think he's got the discipline. So even if Wanda is more powerful, which I don't think she quite is, despite her being extremely powerful, but even if she is, I think he's certainly got more discipline and knows how to use his magic better. And raw power without training is useless.
So I mean, I've got to say, I'm going to go on the other side. I would say that, I mean, obviously, I love Wanda. I mean, I liked Wanda back before liking Wanda was cool. Back in my really early video I did with the hidden one, you could see that. But I think that I reckon in this there'll be one first fight, if there is one that they'll have, and I think that Wanda would quite easily win that, because her magic comes from someone much more powerful than anyone Doctor Strange could draw magic on. I mean, there are a couple of versions of Doctor Strange that could go toe to toe with Scarlet Witch, as they were in House of M or M Day, but I mean, you've got a couple of options with Doctor Strange, and you've got Doctor Strange from Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, where he basically, it's not even explained really how he does this, but he just uses the most powerful stuff that the Sorcerer Supreme has got, and it really corrupts his soul. He goes really crazy, but he's able to wipe out a bunch of Earths and stuff like that. And then you've got Black Priest Doctor Strange, who comes in, time runs out, and that version of Doctor Strange would completely wreck Wanda, would completely destroy anyone in the MCU so far. He's more powerful than the Infinity Stones, more powerful than all of that. Obviously, I'd say even more powerful than someone like the Living Tribunal, maybe even one of Marvel's top maybe 15 or 10 most powerful characters, but it's not very cinematic to have someone that strong, so I really doubt that they would ever go to that level. And I think that Wanda's magic comes from Chthon, who is a powerful being, but certainly not too powerful to be introduced into the MCU. So I reckon that Wanda would win that fight.
That's really cool. I like that we've got a different opinion. I love that. And by the way, I also remember, we did our top 3 Marvel characters.
Oh yeah, that was with you. Sorry, that
video
wasn't
before, and you said.
One.
Oh, no worries, because I know you were talking about stuff with the Hidden One. And I think you brought up Wanda in that video as well. But yeah, I remember for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Wanda's such a great character. She's definitely in my top 10.
Top 10
for Marvel characters. Yeah, I'm so she's not in the top 5. I apologise for that, but I mean, it just goes to show how great all the characters are in Marvel.
Marvel's got a lot of awesome characters.
It really does.
You've got WandaVision, you've got like 2
ton of
immortal
awesome
witches
characters
fighting, and then you've got Falcon the Winter Soldier, which is like guys with guns and motorbikes and stuff.
I mean, the variety's great. I mean, you have these cosmic entities, and then you have really grounded characters like Luke Cage,
Luke Cage is just a guy with really strong skin,
heroes for hire.
He just like can't get cut. He's got like indestructible skin, isn't that? That's Luke Cage.
Yeah. No, but I love the variety. That's why I think I'm looking forward to the future of the MCU, where we're going to possibly see an R rating. I mean, we're certainly seeing that with Deadpool 3. We're going to have an R rating.
I would imagine like the funniest scene would be like, back in Avengers Assemble, like maybe seeing Deadpool or something in a coffee shop, like drinking something, and then he looks outside, he's like, I should probably be helping, but I don't think Disney's got the rights to me yet, or something like that.
Oh yes, that would be brilliant. Or I think something great would be like, oh, so you thought this was a Fox X-Men movie? Well, I'm now in the MC. I think he's going to address that 100%. He's going to address that he's now in the MCU. In the movie, he's going to break the fourth wall.
That would be funny. I mean, the Deadpool comics are stupidly funny as well. He's never a character that's really taken seriously. He's just like everyone's favourite fourth wall breaking character. But the thing that I'm really interested in, actually, that isn't too much about this, is seeing Loki get some good magic of his own, because we haven't really seen him be able to use really anything apart from illusions. But I think I really hope in the Loki series that Loki will come back with some awesome powers and be like a rival, or possibly like even a threat to beings like Thor or someone like that.
Yeah, no, 100%, and I really hope as well with some of these projects like Black Widow and Loki, where it sort of goes off in a different direction, or sort of retraces a bit, that's not for nothing. I hope that it's sort of they're not doing it for the sake of doing it. I hope that it leads to something further down the line, or has some sort of significance. Maybe again, Loki's happening in another universe. It's in an alternate reality. There's going to be something where his reality is going to affect
certainly
the mainstream reality. I don't see why they would do it if that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got characters like it says TVA. It stands for the Time Variance Authority, I think, but they're very much a multiversal group of people that monitor a lot of things. It's like the Omniversal Development Corps, but I think the place he's actually being taken to is a place that's kind of outside other realities, where you can look over other things.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting for sure. Cool. Well, I think that we've discussed Wanda and Doctor Strange well enough. I think I've said everything I've got to say. I do think Doctor Strange would win, and you think that Wanda would win, and that's awesome. I love that we've come to a different conclusion. So if you've made it this far, please comment below who you think would win. I think that's a given. We've got to get you involved, and maybe you think someone else is more powerful than the two of them in the MCU. Maybe you'll agree with Matt's theory that maybe characters like Thor are more powerful. Anything else to say, Matt? Mr. Galactus the Hungry?
Thank you for having me.
thank you for doing this with me. Cool. So if you haven't already, please go and subscribe to Galactus the Hungry. Link will be down in the description below, and I think this will be uploaded to your channel as well,
Yeah,
Matt.
will be.
Yep. So my link will be in the description for his video as well. Cool. Any last comments?
No, that's about it from me. Hope everyone's enjoying Falcon the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be doing a whole load of videos to do with that. Am I correct in assuming so?
Yeah, definitely will be.
Good stuff. Alright, okay. I've been your host, TheSithC. Joining me, I've had the pleasure of having Galactus the Hungry. And take care.
Bye.